To a special episode of Focus Behind the Cloud. Today I'm joined by none other than Joel Kirkland, someone you would have seen in the past couple of years, and this year it's time for our yearly wrap-up. So Joel, welcome back.
Thank you.
Excellent. How's it been? It's been
a very, very interesting year.
It has, hasn't it? I think the last few years we've had quite easy catch-ups. They've been quite relaxed. I think we've had lots of positives to say, and the market was booming after COVID. This year it's slightly different maybe, and we'll get into that, but how have you been?
Well, busy, very busy. It's been a really interesting year. I think it's been a real challenge actually, which we'll dig into. But there's been so many highs, there's been a few lows, and some stuff in between. So, but I think overall very excited for the future. I'm always excited anyway, as you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, although it's been a challenging year, it's helped us kind of reconnect with the basics of what we're doing.
I think so, yeah. I think I can.
And I think, luckily, for me anyway, I feel just as refreshed as I did at the end of last year, even though the optics were
not dying for a Christmas break yet.
No.
Almost feels like, to me anyway, it feels like we've, in the marketing department, we just finished a big project in the new website and things like that. And by the time this goes out, it should all be live. So head over there, focuscloudgroup.org. So get over there, have a look. But we've just finished that, and it's like we're running out of time for the new year. But then it's a break, so it kills the momentum a little bit. And I don't know, how do you feel with that Christmas break? Do you feel it comes at the right time, or?
Yeah, it's always needed. I think, anytime you can kind of take a step back, have some time away from the desk, refresh, reset is good. But the beauty of our organisation, and this year's been no different, is that there's always something going on.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Cool. So, look, let's start on a high. Tell me, over the last year, obviously this is going to be one big overview in this whole episode, 20, 30 minutes or so. But go over some of the highlights of the year for me. Sure. Let's start at the top.
Yep. Okay, so for me, there's been three main highlights.
Okay.
I think the first highlight, we can't do a year review without talking about fantastic growth numbers that we produced in what was 22-23. So our financial year ended at the end of March.
Yep.
This year we posted 21% year-on-year growth, which was a phenomenal number. We had a stellar year. There's no other way to describe it. So big up to the whole team. They absolutely smashed it last financial year, which ended this calendar year. So that was the first highlight. The second highlight, and the third highlight, were actually the two trips we did. So we, just because of the optics, we ended up doing our two year-end incentive trips this financial year, this calendar year. Yeah. And so we went to Kitzbühel in Austria.
Awesome trip.
Awesome trip. Had a really good night out actually on the last night to celebrate. Yeah. And, it's very important to, to really make the most of the good times and to really double down on celebrating. I think we're pretty good at celebrating. I know we've had some feedback on that, and maybe we don't have enough fun, but I think we're pretty good at it. We certainly showed it in Kitzbühel anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I think just touching on that kind of naturally, as two organisations merge almost, and when acquisition takes place, there's always going to be a cultural shift. There's always going to be a bit of a bedding in period between two teams, getting to know each other. What flies one way might not fly the other way, might not be the expectations. So I think we've had to kind of see where the lay of the land almost and get that going. I think we're there now. I think some of the stuff we've introduced in the last month or so. But anyway, point number three.
I think we nailed that. And then the second trip was Ibiza in September, and that was that was superb. There's no other way of describing it. It was a chance to go for a beer with my buddies, my leadership team. Lloyd was out there as well. It was a phenomenal itinerary. So props to Michelle. It was fantastic. There was something going on every day. It's a really well-run trip, and everyone had a fantastic time. Everyone came back unscathed as well.
Good. It's always good. Ibiza's
but we got to do it properly. So they're definitely the highlights. Both those trips were amazing. The results that we posted end of March were also fantastic.
Cool. So obviously that's the inside the business and I suppose the positives we've seen internally. We've had all the trips and all the kind of changes we've done. But on top of that, obviously we like to, as a business, stay on top of industry trends, what's going on in the market, and that's kind of one thing we pride ourselves on, I think. So from your point of view, how have you seen the obviously, I guess, the workday market, but in the recruitment market in general?
Yeah, good question, and actually a little bit difficult to read because everyone's experience is different. But for us, I think you could split the year in half. I think the first half of 2023 we saw quite a bit of a big reduction in demand. We saw a lot less hiring from the partners, and it was a bit of a struggle. It was a bit like running in treacle. We had to really put a lot of effort in reconnecting with all the basics and digging for gold kind of thing. Second half of this calendar year, the outlook is improving and continues to do so, and I think that will carry forward into 2024. So right now, for example, we're pretty much as busy as we've been all year, and it's just, look, it's not going back to the absolutely crazy times of kind of September, October last year, which are our record months, but it's getting back to what we're used to, and it feels kind of busy and it feels vibrant, and it feels like there's some really good times ahead. So overall, permanent recruitment market has been down circa 20-25% year on year based on our data. Contractors held up. The Workday ecosystem continues to be very stable. Workday continued to post really solid results.
I was going to say, they post some good numbers, so no slowing down there.
Yeah, and there's lots of innovation and lots of tech coming. So, it's a good place to be. And my commentary is all relative, so we're talking about reduced demand off our very high base.
Yeah, exactly. If you go back 2 years, I was going to come back to this in a second, but that reduction in demand in the first half of the year, where we had to go back to basics, almost kind of refreshes us as well. Gives us a bit of a reality check, I think. Absolutely. In some cases, some of the numbers posted were insane. Recruitment seemed like an easy job at the time for some,
Yes.
And then you see it change a little bit, and I think there might be some COVID recruiters out there that maybe cut their teeth during a very busy period, maybe not at Focus Cloud, but elsewhere where we've seen, in the market, that suddenly recruitment is tough again and the market conditions are back to normal.
That's the phrase that we use. So I don't know if this is a word, but we call it sort of normalization. It's just a normal marketplace, nothing extraordinary about it in terms of booming demand. There's a solid amount of demand. You have to know what you're doing. You have to, when I talk about basics, I'm talking about, building really strong relationships, adding value, solving problems, stuff that sounds easy for me to say. In practice, it's difficult.
Sure.
You have to be all in. You have to work very hard. You have to work very smart. So, and look, there's a real enjoyment about that as well. When it gets a bit gritty, are you able to roll up your sleeves, get stuck in? So, for example, I'm much more hands-on than I expected to be.
Sure.
And really enjoying it as well. And so that's what this year has been. It's been a year for, let's think about solutions rather than problems. There is less demand. We need to be strategic. We need to be smart. But we can't forget what got us to where we are today, and that's a really important thing. So a year for calm heads, I would describe.
Yeah, I guess so. Would you say that's how we've adapted? Have we adapted well to the conditions in the market?
So I think, first of all, we were expecting it. So as much as at the end of last year we were talking about being on a bit of a charge as an organisation, we were expecting a cool down. And because maintaining the levels that we saw in 2022 would have been a stretch for any industry, any ecosystem. So we were kind of expecting it, and we just started to feel it actually when we talked this time last year. In terms of adaptability, I think we've done really well actually. I think this year, I've described it the other day as a bit of a banana skin, and that's what I mean about calm heads. I think ultimately you have to be able to kind of really reconnect with, good old-fashioned core basics, core values, and be able to do the job of a recruiter how it was supposed to be done. Hasn't changed that much, and so it's more about good, solid business development. One of our major achievements this year has actually been our ability to generate referrals and recommendations, and that aspect of our sort of client development strategy is going really well. We're probably outperforming my expectations in that area.
Excellent.
Which is really good. So, but it has been a challenging year, and I think we have to be humble about it, and we have to say, it has been a test. You've needed slightly different skill set. I definitely needed to keep calm. Definitely needed to be strategic, and as well as tactical. And I think we've moved the organisation and the teams into a place where we're set for growth again.
Okay. And
that will be the focus next year.
Excellent. That's always, I suppose, always positive. We've always, I think we said it in one of the last quarterlies, where we've maintained a level of growth. It was where everything might have shrunk. We've always continued to move forward.
Yes.
A little bit. So it's always positive. And I think with the teams and the people we've got on board, there's a real core there to help us grow a little bit. Just while you're talking there, you said something about kind of getting recruited, or getting back to kind of what makes us good, or makes recruiters good, or makes recruitment good, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had a conversation, or there was conversations at an event I was at last week to do with AI.
Yes.
And it was how is AI going to impact recruitment? Obviously, for us in the marketing team, there's lots of things we can do with that. ChatGPT, help us kind of engineer content in ways much quicker than we've ever seen before. And there's lots of people that might be scared that it's going to come for their jobs. Now, for me, my position is that if we can harness AI in the correct way, it's only going to give recruiters more time to do what benefits them and what they're good at, which for me is the relationship part. I don't think relationships can be swapped out for a robot.
No.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So, yeah, I'm a bit, without sounding a bit ambivalent about it. So look, I think it will hopefully give us more time. I know we're starting to use it. I think it aligns with other technological, if that's a word, advances, in that, we shouldn't be afraid of it. It is going to change things. I do think that it will alter the landscape a bit. So I don't think we can be overly complacent about what's coming. And so my main concern about AI would really be around ethics and social responsibility. That's a big topic we don't have to get into right now. But overall, I think anything that allows you to go faster, further, is a good thing. This has been the year of connections, right? And reconnections. So this year we've done more face-to-face business, more face-to-face work than ever before.
Sure.
Probably than ever before. Certainly from my time. So I've been here nearly 5 years. Yeah. I've probably had more face-to-face meetings this year than my whole time at Focus Cloud.
So at one point it would have seemed impossible. Right? In the first couple of years, it would have been like, when are we ever going to meet face-to-face again at some point?
Exactly. So now I sort of feel very different when I'm meeting someone in the flesh compared to on Microsoft Teams.
Sure.
I still think meeting someone on Microsoft Teams is better than a phone call.
Same.
But I've really enjoyed meeting people. Building those human connections again, having a bit of banter, having a laugh, breaking bread with people, and sometimes with no real agenda, just that human connection piece, which we've kind of really craved. So I think for 2024, we'll definitely double down on that. We've had some fantastic trips this year, not just in terms of staff staffed jollies, but also going and meeting customers, going to events. So I'm looking forward to that in 2024. So AI, yeah, it's coming. We need to embrace it. We need to take the best of it. We need to do it in a responsible way. It should hopefully make us faster. It should make us better, but certainly in the short term, it will not replace.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a real chance to optimise the busy work.
Yep.
You know, the CV stuff, the interview stuff, all that kind of, all the busy work that recruiters hate doing and some of our consultants can't do on the admin side. You know who you are.
Yes.
Right?
I'm not the best at admin. Disclaimer.
So, if that can be harnessed and sorted out, it allows them to forget about it almost to a degree, but just go out and just do the face-to-face connections and do what they do best. Because we don't want our best recruiters that are that are going to be out there building those relationships, sat behind their desk all the time, doing admin and having to worry about in-mail campaigns and making sure they've logged CVs on the system or formatting CVs or whatever it's going to be. We want to make sure that they're out there building real connections with people.
That's right, and I think, you know, I'm sure I've done more than one post about kind of recruitment being a bit of an art, really. So the science part, the data bit, that can be outsourced to robots or to a machine. The bit around artistry, and you know, it's that I call it like a recruiter's intuition. That bit that's a human to human thing, right? That's purely an individual
gut feeling,
perception, connecting the dots, being able to see around corners, all of these things that make an exceptional recruiter, an exceptional business person. They are here to stay for the long haul. You can't recreate that, unfortunately. We've got some people in our team that you couldn't recreate them, right? They're too out there. They broke the mold, or they're very unique. Let's call it that. And so that will continue to set them apart and set individuals apart. So I think harness the technology as always, and for us, you know, double down on what we're best at, and that is that sort of human-to-human connection and that insight that you only get through experience, and
absolutely,
you know, that problem-solving ability that comes from, you know, rinse and repeat, really, seeing the problem before, maybe not in exactly the same guise, and being able to come up with 3 different potential solutions.
Perfect. So you talked on kind of that human-to-human connection there, events, getting out to people. You've not long come back from Workday Rising.
Yeah.
So obviously Workday is our kind of bread and butter for most part of the business, especially for yourself and your teams. How was it? How was Rising?
It was brilliant. It always is. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's hard work. Lots of
I think a lot.
Hours.
I don't know if I'm talking for the business or anything like that, but sometimes people can think, oh, you're off to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a jolly. You and Sean, you know, off. But it isn't, is it? I mean, I was there in Stockholm and I saw the work you guys put in. It is back-to-back meetings.
It is.
Coffees, lunches, dinners.
Plus the day job.
Plus the
evening work.
You know, you're managing things that are already going on, and you are maintaining a steady pace for 18 hours.
It's full on, and I get up early in the mornings anyway, which I continue wherever I am in the world. So, no, it was brilliant though, and I think, you know, what Rising is, and I would urge anyone who gets the opportunity to go to attend, whether you're a customer or a recruiter or a partner in the partner ecosystem. What you see is you just see the buzz around the product, and you see the buzz around the ecosystem. And Barcelona was no different. I thought Stockholm was really good from that perspective, and so was Orlando last year. Didn't spend as much time in San Fran, unfortunately, but for Barcelona, it was just, you know, going to the parties, for example.
Yeah.
The positive sentiment in the ecosystem was there for all to see, and you know, it makes you feel proud to be part of such a vibrant industry, and you also can get some quite unique insights into what's going on from the conversations and the meetings. You know, as I said, it's that human-to-human connection and just the buzz around Workday. And it gives you an extra level. You can get some of that from the day job and the meetings we do and all the good stuff, you know, talking to analysts and talking to people in the ecosystem about what plans are and what's happening. But you can't beat being in a place with another 4,500 people, all energized about
that same mission, same kind
about the product and what's coming next, and AI and financials and all the great achievements across the ecosystem, you know, rollouts, go lives, phase X's. You just can't you can't beat it. So twice a year we get to experience the euphoria of Workday, and it feels really, you know, it feels like they're on a roll. You know, again, tricky climate to navigate, but you know, Workday continues to impress me and over deliver on my expectations of what they can achieve. So, you know, the growth numbers that Workday posted are really strong given the conditions, and the innovation that continues to come, and we're expecting more coming down the track, you know, means that the ecosystem just goes from strength to strength, really, and that was evident in Barcelona.
Especially, I suppose, those developments with the Pandora's box that is AI. Just how that's going to be harnessed through HR systems, cloud systems, like, you know, infinite possibilities. So exciting times there. You know, the numbers that have been posted are obviously brilliant, and we're still seeing projects coming down the track. But I suppose we can't get away from the fact there has been a lot of economic kind of challenges, and we're seeing candidates, clients all behaving differently to the way they were last year. From your point of view, is there anything you've seen quite specifically, you know, trends that you've come across, and what advice would you have to candidates and clients kind of separately to navigate the I suppose the recruitment market at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, look, there are cost pressures, definitely, and we've seen that. And what that means is that people are trying to achieve more for less. So it is a juggling act. It's tricky, and we've seen it. So on the candidate side, the advice would be that, you know, to really hone your skills. It is highly competitive, and especially at the sort of, if you think of the top 25% of the market, so, you know, the real sort of subject matter expertise level. You know, the stronger you can make your skill set and your experiences, and the more varied and the more solutions you have in your back pocket, the more opportunities are going to be available to you. So, you know, think carefully about career. It doesn't matter whether you're a contractor or a permanent person. Think about, you know, navigating your way through your Workday journey and making sure that you're constantly topping up your skill set. And then from a client perspective, you know, obviously around making great decisions when it comes to hiring based on cost, and based on, you know, value. That's the thing, and that's the ultimate challenge. You know, it's a challenge which is still there in, you know, really high profile markets, but it's just less of a thing. But value for money is always going to be sought by customers. And, you know, we've spent a lot of time, you know, giving out advice and really mapping out the market and benchmarking and trying to help our customers, whether they be partners or end users, make great decisions. And I think that's what it is. You know, interestingly enough, I think there's still more jobs than people. And
I was going to touch on that. I think, obviously we can't get away from the talent shortage. It's still going to exist in tech in general, I think, especially in the Workday market. It's that part's not changed, and I don't think it's going to go any time soon.
And it is a marketplace. So ultimately, what that means is that the better you are, the stronger your skill set, the more varied, and, you know, better doesn't necessarily mean years of experience either. It means relevancy of experience. It means attitude. It means work ethic. It's not just about how long you've used the system for, and also relevancy. So, and this is where, you know, we really come in. So we see a lot of instances where maybe you don't need quite as much experience as you think, especially if you've got a reduced budget. Maybe there are different ways of coming at the problem. Maybe you need to look at a shorter term solution rather than permanent, vice versa. So it is it is much trickier, and despite external macroeconomic challenges, the marketplace is still difficult to find talent, and what that means is that you're not really getting a massive reduction in the cost of resources, for example. Not necessarily a massive increase in the available resources.
Sure.
Challenging year on all fronts, but definitely we need to acknowledge that there are cost pressures, that not every project is getting signed off or starting immediately, and that, you know, by making good decisions, by being well prepared, by talking to, you know, experts, whether it's Workday experts, whether it's recruitment experts like us, about how to map out and plan what you're trying to achieve, you will definitely get a better outcome.
Do you think that mapping out what you're trying to achieve from a client point of view, because obviously if there's still talent shortages, that we've always said about kind of reacting quickly or making your process faster than maybe your competition, just so you can make sure you're ahead of the, I suppose, a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to making those decisions and getting the right talent in. That's still the case.
Yeah, so I think there's a stage before that, which is good planning.
Yeah.
You know, being clear about what you need and what you don't need.
Get your ducks in a row before you go to market. Yeah, because you don't want to be keeping people on the hop for a long time.
You can spend quite a bit of time planning, and then go with speed.
Just make sure you're ready to pull the trigger when you need to.
You don't really want to be doing too much refinement when you're trying to hire or when you're trying to run a project.
So on that, I guess the emphasis is on making sure you know what you need first.
Yep.
So talk to people that know what you need first.
Yes.
Like us.
Yeah.
Or talk to the partners, talk to those people, you know, implementing the systems for you.
Absolutely.
All that kind of stuff. Just make sure you've got everything you need and do all the due diligence before you start trying to bring people in that might not quite fit or might not be quite right. Yeah,
look, sometimes you do need to pivot, but ultimately the better you are planned, or the better planning that goes on, the easier it should be. And then the other side of this is something that I talk about a lot, which is, for us, we spend a lot of time mapping the market and really understanding kind of demand, what's coming, why it's coming, when it's coming, where it's coming, and that enables us to kind of roll out what we call this sort of our network, basically, but our talent optimization strategy. And that really is about engaging with the right talent at the right time. So, you know, in our conversations with our customers, we will map out kind of future projects, future plans, all of these things. And that means we're ready as well, and we're ahead of the curve. And that's where our kind of speed to market kicks in.
Sure.
So, it's a very interesting world, and it's definitely not getting easier, but I think we're up to the challenge, and I think you know, our customers and our candidates are up to the challenge as well. So looking forward to seeing how it pans out in 2024, which again I don't think is going to be smooth sailing.
Sure. I think. Do you think it's a case of more of the same?
Look, I'm always hopeful, right? So I'm going to say
I think we have to be optimistic.
I think that demand will increase slowly but surely.
Just as uncertainty maybe
still there.
Yeah.
Sentiment seems to be improving. It feels that way. Obviously, coming off the back of Barcelona, you know, you have that positive injection of energy. But it feels, just with what's going on inside the business, the amount of requests, that we are seeing an uptick in demand, and hopefully that will keep going. I think it will still be a bit bumpy.
Yeah.
I think we still need to do a bit of work on strategy if we're going to achieve the growth numbers that the lofty ambitions that we have. But as I say, I think we're definitely up for the challenge. I think we're looking forward to the challenge. I think this year has been tricky. So the second part of this puzzle has been internal. So not just about kind of how we're responding to customer needs and candidate needs, but also how we're managing ourselves and how we're managing our own approach to the situation. So interesting thing, what I think about a lot actually for you, Ryan, is that I've only ever seen double-digit growth inside of Focus Cloud.
Yes.
So my journey has been every single year we've grown circa 20 to 30%, right? This year our numbers are largely flat, maybe even a little bit off from what we achieved last year. So I've had to manage my own expectations around what good looks like and almost reframe it and reset it against the market.
Yep.
And we've had to do the same with the team. So, it's been different. We're managing and juggling different kinds of challenges, and you've needed a slightly different take on how things are, and you've needed to approach, what we're trying to achieve in a slightly different way. I think some of the really great things are that we've definitely not lost our ambition.
No.
We've definitely retained our energy and our hunger, and we are really playing a long-term game here. So that's the beauty of the Focus Cloud and what we're trying to do is that one swallow doesn't make a summer. So it's really about managing your energy, continuing to improve and get better and respond to challenges and solve problems, and just keeping calm and carrying on. And this has been the year. It's felt a little bit, not exactly the same. I'm not going to say it was as sharp, I'll use that word, as 2020. That was brutal, to say the least. But it's felt a little bit more towards that kind of time where, being positive, getting that human to human connection going, nailing the basics, but also having that room to kind of do blue sky, think out the box, solve problems. That has been really, really important this year. I think it would have been easy, and I'm sure it's happened from time to time, to have minor meltdowns, just because it's a different climate, and because of the pivot was quite sharp again, So if you think October last year was our record month, the change in the optics didn't really kick in till sort of January, February this year. It's been bumpy. We've seen kind of that type of thing. But broadly the trend upwards towards today.
Yeah.
So, it has challenged people, and it has meant a bit of a reframing around expectations. And I think that's been the toughest bit about my job, not just in terms of candidates and clients, but also internally managing expectations.
I was going to say, my kind of next kind of question for you is about the evolution of, I suppose, your role at Focus Cloud and how it's changed over the last year, and the shift in the teams. I was going to say, how would you, I suppose, what's the response been like to those challenges in the teams, and how have you kind of handled it? How's the senior team kind of dealt with it?
I think it's been bumpy, right? But I think we've done a really good job. I think, so we moved our Brighton office to a location which is much more aligned to what we're trying to achieve, right? So with the facilities in that office, and being able to do more meetings, and just a more welcoming environment, in my opinion. So I think that's been really positive, and I think that everybody is really stuck in a shift. Everybody has put lots of effort in and really responded well to the different climate and the different demands sometimes that the organisation is putting on them. but it has been up and down, and I think there's been times where we're not doing as well as we want to, and there's been times where things aren't going our way, and we've needed to show a high level of resilience, a high level of bounce back ability. I love that word from my footballing days. So it's not been all plain sailing, and that's what I mean about managing expectations. It's the ability to remain upbeat and to see through problems a little bit, and to remain hopeful, and not get too down on yourself. I think this was a year where you just had to be like, keep calm, carry on, shrug it off, move on to the next thing. And we're doing that, and we continue to face challenges, right? We're doing that really well at the moment, actually, if I think about the last month or so. And gradually, slowly but surely, we are making progress. And so I think we've evolved, and any normal year, rather than boom year in recruitment, does reconnect you and get you to kind of understand kind of where you came from. I started my journey in recruitment very much in these kind of conditions, probably actually a tougher marketplace, which is always a good place to start, because if I use that as the benchmark, this is a better marketplace than that was. So it's difficult if you haven't been there. It's good to start in that market, but for me, I've seen kind of these waves, and it's almost like that kind of bit like a golfer, with muscle memory. You kind of have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, I've been here before. Maybe not the exact same solutions as you used last time are relevant, but at least you can get through. Get out the other end. So very interesting year. Looking forward to a bit of a break, but still kind of really energized for what's around the corner.
Good stuff. I guess you kind of touched on a few little bits there. Obviously, 12 months on since we last caught up, and when we last caught up, we did mention, obviously, we just joined, or we just acquired the guys at Cognitive, the Microsoft brand within the group. 12 months on, how's it going? I think I don't know if this is harsh or not, but it feels like we've only just really started to bond.
Love that. Well, let me give you my take on it. So I am a patient person, or I think I am.
Yeah.
I in my own mind, I thought this would take time.
See, I think I was probably quite naive to it. I thought maybe a few trips to the pub, a few lunches, and we'll be golden. We'll be there. But I think even then, even when we brought them into the office, and now obviously we're all in one space, there's still obviously we've had to make sure that there is integration there, and it's not been as maybe obvious as we thought it would have been. But that's probably naivety on my part. Never been here, never done it before.
Yeah. I only really see positives. So what I see at the moment is that traditionally we've not really had another brand or another division in the business that is as mature as us, as the Workday business. Right? All the other brands were fledgling brands, probably 5 years behind us. So now we've got a business, our Microsoft team, that has been going for longer than us. That's really refreshing. So they've made some of the mistakes that we are making or have made in the past. They are a genuine competitor, so facing off against them has brought that kind of healthy competition around incentives and who's doing better on a week-to-week basis, which is only a positive thing, right? Because we can drag each other along and we can continue to move the needle forward. Dare I say it? I think they're quite a lot of fun. I'm gonna controversially say a bit more fun than traditionally we've been, and they've got they've got a lot of people who like the odd tipple, and they're a bit they bring a bit of vitality to our group. So I'm really enjoying that, and that was kind of how things were in the earlier part of my career. Now I'm a bit more boring, unfortunately, and we've got a few of similar age to me or similar vintage. So
vintage, I like that.
Yeah, so having that that energy and that youth and that vibrancy in in our office and in our business is a massive positive, and they are dragging us along with that as well. So I think we're reconnecting with that side of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's about sharing ideas and sharing knowledge and learning from each other, and taking advantage of the best of what they've got to offer, and also kind of meshing it with the best of we've got to offer. So I think it will only get stronger. I think we've made great strides this year. I think it's I said the same thing last year. I think it's an amazing fit, and I think we can learn a lot from them. So super excited about it. For me, it's bang on track based on my own personal timeline. I know some people would have liked it to go faster. I think it's going really well.
Would you say there's any unexpected benefits of having this kind of combining of forces?
I
suppose unexpected might be the wrong word for yourself. Like you say, a few vintages in, a man of you've seen a lot.
I was going to say not too much shocks me. Unexpected benefits. I think. Look, I didn't. Although I thought they would be a great fit, I wasn't necessarily expecting them to be such a great fit. I think that subtly, with the way that they run their operation, there are lots of things that we can consolidate together. So things like training and development, for example, I'm really excited about what we can do together as a group. From that perspective, we're going to follow their suit with the leadership training and do some stuff around future leaders, which we haven't really got around to this year just because of how crazy it's been. And internally, with training and Sean, I think that's going to be a really good thing too. It's just nice to have more places to turn to, right?
Yeah, that's what was kind of my point would have been just the different point of view.
Yeah.
I think being able to turn and ask someone the same question you'd have maybe asked your colleagues, but getting a completely different kind of outlook, just because they've seen it differently. They've been exposed to different ways of doing things. And I think from us and from the marketing team, working with Megan has been immense. And the way that she does things and the way that we do things, we have different strengths naturally, but the way that we can join forces as a team has been a really positive thing. We've seen some good outcomes, some good content, especially on the kind of the gender diversity stuff that we've been doing earlier in the year. And I think combining everything we know as a team has been able to produce some excellent things, and it's got some excellent things coming down the track as well. So I think it's just that ability to just have different ways of thinking about the same things, different problems.
Absolutely. We're definitely greater than the sum of our parts, right? And I think there's some fantastic ideas inside of both divisions. I'll call them that. And for me, it's going really well. The London office is vibrant. I think we're making good progress in Brighton. So the environments that we work in are much more aligned to what we're trying to achieve now. I think we went through a phase of needing quite a bit of refinement. I think that is now done. I'm just looking forward to it. They'll be coming after us. We'll be coming after them. Competition didn't hurt anyone. I'm rather competitive. I enjoy all that sort of stuff. I think we'll keep it healthy as well. Sometimes in the past, I think it's spilled over. I think with this group and our group now, I don't think that will happen. So, we'll just hopefully continue to drive each other to get better and better and better. So, super excited about what we can do together.
Perfect. Cool. Obviously, with us doing all these things, combining with cognitive, all that kind of stuff, like you said, we've got some real positive kind of buzz in the office. Now that only, I think, reflects into how we service our clients.
Yes.
Over the course of the year, I guess, where it has been a challenge, tell the listeners, viewers, whatever, are there any real success stories that you can kind of pin down and go, that if there's one moment this year or a couple of moments this year that I can hang my hat on as a recruiter, that'd be it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, without going into too much detail,
of course,
I think there's probably 3 or 4 customers that we've built teams for.
Yep.
And that, they've come to us with really tricky requirements actually, and we've been able to really respond to that well and build out teams and, touch wood, make those projects a real success.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what you do it for. I mean, ultimately, our customer success, our candidate success is our success.
Yeah.
We've always talked about, wanting to be part of the solution and joining with our clients in helping them to make a success of their projects, whether it be, phase 0, phase 1, phase X. So when you get to actually do that and then see the result from it, it's quite fulfilling. So there are definitely 4, maybe 5 customers this year that I can think that's either happening or has happened. But look, all the wins are great. And, every client, every candidate that we place or that we work with is massively valued. I think, it's just about how can we refine what we're doing? How can we take the best of the best and continue to live up to that standard? And how can we optimize? How can we review where it's maybe gone wrong, which is very rare but does happen, and refine and just continue to get, it's this marginal gains concept, right? So just continue to inch forward. But our mantra around delivering, the wow factor, speed to market, being great business partners, being easy to work with, being flexible, all of that stuff is there in droves still. And, it's probably the biggest area that I work on with my team is, delivering wow, over delivery, both, in fact, that's what we've been talking about over the last quarter. Over delivery, move the needle, be memorable, that type of thing.
Being memorable, that's a good one, I think. And talk about refinement. I think we did that earlier in the year with the core values.
Yes.
C for life, right? So all of that kind of repositioning of us, and as you say, like being memorable, that is it. That is C for life, right? Yep. That is exactly what we want. So for those listening that don't know what C for life is, it's kind of like an internal philosophy for us where it's candidates, clients, colleagues for life.
That's
right?
it.
So that is the way that we behave, and we want our consultants to behave. That's how we want to be remembered. We want to make sure that we're taking care of all the little things and, like say, be remembered. And that's I think probably one of the best words to describe the entire thing.
Yeah, and the concept that it is a marathon, not a sprint, another word that people regularly hear from me. Ultimately you've got to make good decisions and you've got to think long term. It's not just about today, tomorrow, it's about the future and it's about sustainability. So, this year is a good year for, doubling down on longevity and doubling down on, it's there's no point having one stellar year and then disappearing, right? What you have to do is you have to keep going, and you have to go, and you have to be able to respond to the challenge of when it's mental and you need to put in extra time to be able to respond to that extra level of demand.
Sure.
Or when it's tougher and you have to put in extra time and energy to build those human connections or rebuild those human connections, or be more strategic or take care of people. So whatever the weather, it's important to be able to respond and have that long view and continue to work towards our values. I was particularly pleased with the way we reposition those. I think they really speak well to our business. And is it possible to have a favourite value? Because I think creative is amazing, and I think really it's what we're renowned for. We might not label it as that, but being able to solve problems and being able to give great advice and being able to challenge, in a warm way and in a fair way, both candidates and clients, from a professional perspective, having been there and seen it, all of that stuff is super important, and you need that level of creativity to be able to come at things from a different angle.
Absolutely. For sure. I think that's the kind of a level of innovation that we've probably had to kind of lead with over the last year or so. You know, get creative with the solutions we're providing.
Yeah.
Because it might not be, you know, I think it happens often where clients or candidates might come to us wanting something, but once you dice it down and dissect it a little bit, you can kind of really, you can suggest other ways, and they might realise that that might not be what exactly they needed at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you have that light bulb moment, right?
Yeah.
What you do is you pare everything back, and then you see it slightly differently, and you can reframe it. Or you can come up with a menu, right? Solution A, solution B, solution C, maybe other solutions. Maybe, you know, you have to completely change tack, pivot. So yeah, that there is massive room in our industry for creativity and innovation and thinking outside the box. I know they're cliches, but ultimately, you know, no one situation is the same.
Yeah.
So you can approach it in a similar way, and we have our ethos and we have our mantra, and we have, you know, a clear idea of what we're trying to do with the way that we build our network, and create that alignment with demand. But ultimately, sometimes you just have to come up with a solution that's not been done before, or that's not been seen before, or and you know, take a bit of a risk sometimes. So that's my favourite value, and I think, yeah, would love to see more of that next year, actually. The more creative, the better.
Yeah, for sure. Look, we're probably short on time now, to be fair. I've got all the questions I need to ask you out the way. I think it's been good. I think it's an excellent review. And look, if anyone who's listening to this or watching this back or seen the clips on LinkedIn or wherever we're going to put them, if you've got anything you want to add, or you know you want to talk to Joel about anything, reach out. I'm sure an extra perspective is always welcome. If you've seen the market differently and you have other things you would like to share, then please feel free. You know, drop comments in the comment section underneath the videos on LinkedIn. But overall, I think that the sentiment is positive.
Yeah, very positive, and I think my overriding sentiment is one of gratitude, right, for being in such a thriving ecosystem, a place that's really, really been stable over the last 5 years. Certainly in my time in the ecosystem, you know, Workday continues to grow. We're seeing forward momentum in Workday financials continue. You know, projects keep on coming, really. So for us, it means that our business is stable too.
Sure.
It gives us a great platform and a great opportunity. So I think that's the main thing. And then, you know, just it's been a more challenging year for a number of different reasons. You know, with slightly less demand at the start and a different landscape to navigate. And so I'm really proud of the team and the way we've responded and the way we've kept our heads and kept going and kept calm. And I'm super excited about 2024. I think it's going to be tough. I think we're well rehearsed now after 2023.
Yeah.
It's just about making good decisions, managing energy, staying upbeat, staying positive, and really being able to offer that amazing service.
Perfect. So I think that's a wrap on 2023. So to all those celebrating it, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year, and we shall see you in 2024. And that is a wrap. Yeah.
Nearly. And
nearly.
Looking forward to going again.
Do you know what? It's been 2 years since we did Secret Santa with Lloyd.
No.
It's been 2 years, yeah. So if you haven't seen that video, go and check it out somewhere on our LinkedIn page. You might even see it on our newsletter in the coming weeks, but it's a bit of a throwback. Yeah, we looked a lot younger then.
So next year, I'm looking forward to someone holding a putt the length of the office and winning
one of our new incentives, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So on a deal, they spin the wheel, they get a chance to putt, and it's a 30-foot putt?
100-foot putt, I would say 30 metres.
30 metres, yeah, 30 metres, okay. Yeah, wow.
Yep. When someone gets that in,
and
that is cause for celebration.
And it's a reward from Lloyd Gordon's pocket, right?
It is indeed, which
Yeah.
makes it all the more sweeter, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Joel, thank you very much for joining me. I
you,
won't
Ryan.
leave it a whole 365 days before the next one.
No.
We'll try and fit one in maybe in the summer.
Maybe a half-year review. How about that?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll do it on the golf course. I don't know. But yes, thank you very much for joining me, Joel.
Pleasure. Merry Christmas, everyone.
See you later. Thank you.